Hello, welcome to Gloucester County Library System's What's Cooking. Today we are going to make biscotti because people have requested it. Now if you have a request for us, just shoot it in our comments and let us know and we'll see what we can do for you. So we start off the biscotti recipe with 6 eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and crack 6 eggs. These are farm fresh eggs. I'm very fortunate, and I have to say I have made this recipe with regular eggs, purchased eggs, and farm fresh eggs, and I brought them to a baby shower, and all my aunts, all my Italian aunts asked me what's special about this biscotti, and we came down to it was the farm fresh eggs. So if you can get yourself some farm fresh eggs, it would be worth it. So we start off with 6 eggs and 2½ cups of sugar. And I know it sounds like a lot of sugar, but really that's the ½ cup. It's not compared to the 6 cups of flour that go with it. Usually when we make recipes it's just a couple cups of flour, but this is 6 cups of flour, so that's 1½. And that's 2. 6 eggs, and we're going to go ahead and beat that until fluffy. So I have my KitchenAid here, and I moved it up to 4. So let's see what that does. And then while you're doing that, you can take 2 sticks of butter and melt it. And I have melted ours into just a bowl. I covered it and put it in the microwave for 1 minute. It wasn't enough, so I did it 2nd minute. And I've let that cool about 5 minutes or so, but you can even pop it in the fridge if you want, but you really just do want it liquid, but not so hot that you're going to cook your eggs. And something else you can work on is grating the skin of an orange. So that will be, so I got an orange, and if you've never grated an orange before, I'm going to show you how to do it. You take the littlest piece, the littlest side, and you just take the orange and scrape down the sides until you get to the actual fruit. So you're really grating all the way down to the fruit. The white's okay, it has flavor too. So this is going to be part of the flavoring for your biscotti. And I will say that this recipe does not have anise because I don't like anise. So I always use ingredients that I like. If you wanted to add that, then you could just find a recipe that includes that. Also, the oven should be at bake 375, so I went ahead and turned that on. And I greased 2 cookie sheets. So just grease 2 cookie sheets while you're waiting. This recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So I think that's, go ahead, that is nice and fluffy. Sorry, it was nice and loud also. And we're going to add our cooled butter. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And it is definitely cool enough not to cook those eggs. Go ahead and add that. 2 sticks of butter. Then add the rest of your ingredients. It's add your flour and your vanilla and your orange. So we have the skin of an orange. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Just dump it right inside. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. We can go ahead and add that. Vanilla's a yummy addition. 1, 2. And now we have our salt, baking powder, and flour. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that a minute. And so our flour, we were asking again for 6 cups. Just going to come to the side. This bag. 1, 2, 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And if you have a lot of ingredients when you're baking, it's always a good idea to put them in one location and then move them off that location so you know you've already added that into your recipe. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can turn that off, that's looking good. And salt, just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It's a little heavy. Okay, great. Now we're just going to mix it a little. So that way, when we add it, everything is evenly added to our mixture. Sometimes I don't know about you, but it goes over. Let me just turn it so that way you guys can see a little better. I'm just going to add it right in there. Okay, most of it went in. Turn it back, and we're going to just put it at 2. And what I did is separated an egg. So this is a regular egg. I just took the yolk out, and this is the egg white. And we're just mixing this until it's pliable. Now sometimes people pop it in the refrigerator. Usually I just add a little more flour if need be. Okay, that's looking really great. Just about ready. I'm going to turn it up a little. It's mixing nice. I wish I could bring my camera over here, but then you wouldn't be able to see the whole ingredients being added. All right, pretty good shape. So, give you an idea how sticky it is. Now I did wash my hands, so I am going to be using my hands to mold the long rolls. I always recommend washing your hands before you start cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop this right off with my fingers. If you have a tool, I used to have a little tool, you could use that as well, but you're going to have to put your hands in this dough anyway. So, and we're just going to wipe off this counter a little. All ingredients we just used, so even if it's a little bit ended up in our cookie, that's fine. So we are going to need some flour, and the recipe says flour your hands and make 4 long skinny loaves. So I'm going to take a nice scoop of flour out. I'm going to put it on my hands and also on the countertop, and I'm going to scoop this out. Does seem a little sticky. Now, this Biscotti recipe we've also used for Easter breads. So instead of actually making Easter bread, we would make Easter bread out of Biscotti. And that's a nice option for you. And how are we going to make rolls out of this? Well, like I said, we're going to just get our hands in there. Let's cut it into 4. 1. I think this should be another roll. 2. 3 and 4. All right, we're going to need some more flour because this is very sticky. So when you're working with your dough, your cookie, you definitely want it to be pliable. You see how I just added a lot of flour to that? That's definitely fine. And I probably could have done that in the mixer. So something similar to that we're going to make it look like. And now I'm going to show you how to make the loaves. So this one is in pretty good shape. And like I said, we went ahead and I greased these. I guess we could throw a little flour on it. Won't hurt. And I'm going to take this one. and go ahead and mold that into a long and skinny, a little bit longer. See how that's done? Just making it about the same height all the way down. Smells really good. And you can see the orange, the zest of the orange in there. Now it doesn't look like much right now, but once we get it in the oven, it's going to cook up really nice. We'll take our next piece. I'm going to add a little piece to that. Just mold it a little. Go ahead and flatten it out. I would say maybe the width of your fingers. That one looks really nice. Okay, and that's pretty good shape. That's how you would want to start your biscotti. So my hands are nice and sticky, but that's okay. And I'm going to show you, we're going to take a pastry brush and some egg white. And we just brush that right on. Just brushing the tops of the cookie. And you're going to make a lot of cookies here, so you'll have plenty to share. And they freeze nice. You can pop them in the freezer. Okay. Push that off to the side. And then I have some sesame seeds. I always like to top mine with sesame seeds. Go ahead and go. You can go pretty heavy on it because each one's going to be a cookie. Okay, and then we pop it in the oven. Where's my recipe? Pop it in the oven for 15 minutes until golden brown at bake 375. And then I'll show you how we cut them. I'll pop these in the oven and I'll come back, and when they come out, I'll show you what our next step is. Hi, and we're back. So we went ahead and baked our loaves for 375 for about 15 minutes. About halfway through, I switched the pans, one up and one on the lower shelf and higher shelf. And now we're ready to go ahead and cut our loaves. We let them cool for 10 minutes so that way they're easier to cut. So I'm showing you here how you just lay them on their side. So I have a loaf here, and I'm just going to go ahead and slice it. And we'll just want to make it nice and thin, maybe a ½ inch or even less, and then find a spot to pop them on your pan. And then you'll toast it in the oven for 5 to 7 minutes. My recipe calls just for 5 to 7 minutes, but what I'll do, I'll toast it on one side, and if it's still light on the other side, I'll flip it and toast the other side as well. So I'll come back and show you how the finished product looks. Hi, so here's our finished product, some biscottis. This is just one tray, so we have about 30 cookies here. We can expect about 90 cookies from this recipe. Thank you so much, and bon appetit.